I'm a Gen X dad with a Gen Z kid. Sometimes, when I want to feel a little less old, I'll reminisce about the High School Musical movies. I'm paying for college now, but I love these films because that little kid loved these films. And in this series, I'm going to look at everything wonderful and ridiculous about them. In this episode, I'm going to get into the High School Musical 3 opener, Now or Never. On October 24th, 2008, my wife and I took our then 6-year-old to their first opening day movie. We went to the first showing after school got out, and after standing in a line that wrapped around the building, we sat in a 300-seat theater that consisted of 3 dads, a lot of moms, and a huge contingent of girls aged 5 to 13. Billed as the music that defined a generation, the opening sequence, directed by Kenny Ortega, gave that audience exactly what they wanted. The pitch and the volume of the screaming that ensued upon Zac Efron's sweaty face being projected 30 feet high in front of everyone can really only be compared to footage of the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and was a harbinger of what we were in for. Now, in the climax of the first movie, whoever the activities director is at East High clearly needs to be fired, because the state championship basketball game, the academic competition, and the callbacks for the school musical are all happening at the same time on the same afternoon. But this lovable bunch of kids hates Sharpay Evans so much that they intentionally create a chemical accident and stage a blackout that somehow only affects the gymnasium, also that Miss Evans won't get the lead in said musical. They succeed and gather in a celebratory dance whose choreography eludes me nearly a decade and a half later. Fast forward a year, and although the schedule has been worked out, things aren't going nearly as well for our Wildcats. They've managed only 26 points in the first 16 minutes of this year's state finals, and find themselves down by 21. Coach has a midlife crisis haircut, Troy hurt his non-shooting hand, and everyone is pretty clearly down. How will the Wildcats ever come back from this? It turns out that posing a question like this is pretty common at the beginning of a musical, and it serves to draw the audience in so that they very quickly care about the characters. A more explicit example comes from the Disney Renaissance classic, Beauty and the Beast. At the end of the beautiful opening stained glass window sequence, our narrator, voiced by David Ogden Stiers, who later provides the voice of Cogsworth, asks the question that sets up the first musical number.
For who could ever learn to love a beast?
The question posed gets answered visually here. How about this woman right here? Maybe she could learn to love a beast. Then it gives us a second implicit question of how are they going to get together? And now we're all hooked in because we all want to find out. A similarly explicit, if not somewhat long-winded question is asked at the beginning of Hamilton. Why are we here, Tony Award winner Leslie Odom Jr.?
How does a bastard, orphan, son of a whore, and a Scotsman dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot in the Caribbean, by providence impoverished and squalor, grow up to be a hero and a scholar?
And it works. I really want to know how all that happens to this guy on money who's been dead for more than 200 years. In High School Musical 3, the question isn't asked nearly as openly as in Hamilton or Beauty and the Beast. But how the team will overcome these odds under similar circumstances to the climax of the first movie draws us in immediately as a plot device. So to start that comeback, does Coach give us an inspiring halftime speech to get us all pumped up? No! Not even the guy with a paw print tattooed on the back of his head can believe how bad this speech is. Instead, Coach leaves it up to his pair of 18-year-old captains. But don't worry, Chad's got this.
Chad?
What team? Wildcats! What team?
Our comeback question cannot be answered with dialogue, because the emotions reach a level where they have to be sung and choreographed, which is another fundamental principle of musicals. Our heroes need to make up a 21-point lead in 16 minutes, and without a whole lot of basketball playing authenticity beyond this warm-up. And are there only 2 schools in New Mexico 5A basketball? Because these same 2 teams are playing in the finals again, and somehow it's a home game for East High for the 2nd year in a row. Wait, is that Martha as head cheerleader? How did that happen? Last school year, she was at the nerd table, and now she's front and center of the cheer squad? I need to know more about how this happened, and I think we can all agree that's a better story than what we got as a 4th movie in this series. Way to go, Martha. Live the dream. The palpable energy between these 2 cheerleading squads would have made for a nice Bring It On style movie too, also better than what we got. Other than this post player who clearly doesn't want to shoot the ball, the sequence is this Kenny Ortega masterclass in choreography, lip syncing, and basketball-ish action that blends all together in a very cool way. I mean, come on, this quick cut where Troy catches the ball without looking is so cool. Hey look, there's Chucky. And by that I mean choreographer Chucky Claypow, who can regularly be seen in a variety of scenes and is easy to spot because of the floppy hair. Chucky, director Kenny Ortega, and choreographer Bonnie Story all won an Emmy for their choreography work in the first High School Musical. This slide is clearly a travel, but since he's really a professional dancer, we're going to look the other way. Chad's dad is so right. It's not only a foul, but it's a flagrant. Troy should get 3 free throws, and the Wildcats should get the ball back so they can cut into that lead.
Okay? Come on, Troy!
By the way, we're nearly 5 minutes into the runtime of this movie, and are we sure Vanessa Hudgens is still in it? I mean, she's on the movie poster, and a lot of time has passed since the summer ending of the previous movie. It's got to be March or April of basketball playoff season. Did Troy and Gabriella break up? Did they go to homecoming? Are they still into karaoke? At the very least, can we get a dramatic reveal of her using a stadium flip card trick and contrasting wardrobe in school colors all over a musical interlude that is somehow simultaneously surreal, ridiculous, and awesome? She couldn't get better seats than behind the Knights bench?
Make me strong. It's time to turn it up. Game on.
If they weren't going to win before, they sure are now. Chad taking a charge down 1 with under a minute to go and then doing that ninja flip thing is awesome. Now's the point where it gets absurd and we get introduced to 2 of our 3 Olivers. And by that I mean, like Oliver from the Brady Bunch, when they needed to add an extra cast member to keep the series going. If you're a Simpsons fan, I'll also accept Poochie. Because Bob Iger was like, you know what? I like money. Let's make this High School Musical thing last longer with some new characters. Enter Rocketman.
Rocketman, you ready? Go, go! Oh yeah. Calm down, okay?
Well put, Troy.
All right.
Amazingly, he's not the most annoying Oliver in the cast. So then you get your end sequence of the game where Troy makes a falling out of bounds, ridiculous pass to a bench warmer that he hopes makes the final shot, and you know it took more than one take to get it right. Wait, Ryan was in the mascot head the whole time? Why can't he keep a girlfriend? What about you? What's your favorite part of Now or Never? How about the most ridiculous moment? Comment below and let me know. Follow me on Instagram for episode previews and other nerdy stuff. That's it for this installment, but join me next time when I'll be exploring the definitive song of the series, High School Musical's We're All in This Together. Thanks for watching.